Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome to the Conscious Movement podcast. This is episode number 17. I've titled it Intuitive Guidance and Healing. The lady that I've got here is called Melissa. And Intuitive Guidance and Healing is her page, her business, and everything that she does stems from that. If you want to introduce yourself, Melissa, that'd be awesome.
Hey everyone, lovely to be here. Yes, I'm Melissa and I spend my life doing readings and holding workshops and generally doing what I can to raise the vibe of the people I come across.
Beautiful. We're all about vibrations, man, on this the conscious movement. I think everyone is starting to click onto how important it is to keep our vibe as high as possible.
Yeah. That's what it's all about.
Yeah, man, it's interesting. I was just gonna say, before this started, literally we had so much trouble even getting this episode going. Like my laptop randomly stopped working. I had to restart it. It wouldn't upload. It wouldn't open the Zoom meeting. Yeah, it's just really interesting. So, but we're here. We're able to have this chat, which is beautiful. And I'm so excited to talk to Melissa. So, I guess the first thing I was going to say, like I said, what exactly for everyone listening in, what exactly do you do, or give like a brief overview of the stuff you like to do in terms of helping people? Or I know you said there's so much. I'm excited to delve into every single thing we can.
Okay, try and keep it brief. So I spend most of my time doing readings and mentorship with people and running workshops to really help people understand who and what they truly are. I do this in different ways. I work a lot with my many decks of cards that I like to work with, and crystals, and through past life work, through soul transformation work, and soul plan. And yeah, really to help you understand, in my belief, that we're all a soul having a human experience, and it's really just about us, our human, aligning with our soul so we can get the best out of our time here.
Beautiful. I love it. I love the first part where you said about helping people remember who they truly are. So can you go into a bit of depth with that? Like so people, a lot of people, I know what you mean, but for people listening, what would you mean by that? Returning to the soul?
Yeah, I think that, you know, we get so caught up in life, don't we, that we are, you know, we've got this to do, we've got the bills to pay, we've got the, you know, the work to go to, the kids to look after, the course to finish, there's so many things that we are here that we think we have to do. And I think we forget how powerful we are and how much influence we can have on ourselves and on others. And there's so much more to life than there is the eat, sleep, work cycle. So for me, I think that as kids, we know this, right? As kids, we are, you know, we're just being and we're playing. I've got 3 boys of my own, and I see it with them, right? That they just are. And no one can tell them what they can or can't have. It's like, well, this is what I want and this is what I have. And then, you know, they kind of go to school and, oh, well, I have to be this way, or I have to conform here, or I have to fit in here, and I have to do this. And I think we forget who we are and what we are, this soul, this energy, this vibrational, wondrous miracle that we are. And I think that we've all got a job to do here, that we've all got a purpose to bring to society.
Beautiful. I love what you're saying there. I've taught children, like I've done PE teaching throughout my 20s, and you know, being around children, like you just put it, they it's like I guess I would describe the idea of people who people think they are, like their egoic idea in their mind that they think they are. But children don't have that. Like you said, they just completely are with their soul in their body, and it's the most wonderful thing to see. You know, I talk about this a lot with a lot of people about the job of like watching your thoughts and watching your behaviors and realizing that you're the thing beyond that, you know, the thing that's watching the behaviors. But a lot of people are stuck in that mind idea of the person that's been created, or the world has imprinted on them. Is that the right way to probably put it?
Yeah, absolutely. It's like we you know, I am more than my thoughts, I am more than my mind, I am more than my body. And it's true. And so if you're more than all of these things, you know, if I'm having a thought telling me that I must do this, or I'm crap at this, or, you know, the world is whatever, then there's somebody there listening to that thought that's either taking it on and going, yeah, that's true, or dismissing it and rising above it. And for me, it's about, you know, it's not so much about getting rid of those thoughts, because I think we need them, because we do need to function in society. You know, we need to be here. We do need to get food on our table. We often need to hold down jobs. We need to, you know, pay the mortgage. Like this, we need to do it. It's not about, for me, it's not about transcending and ascending away from it. It's about integrating all of that into our everyday.
Beautiful. That's interesting as well, because there's a lot of stuff out there at the moment I guess I've sort of come into contact with and seen over the last year about this ascending. But then, like you just said, then I've seen loads about, no, we need to fully like integrate ourselves in this form that we are, accept it. This is an experience that we're having, and then roll with it, I guess.
Well, exactly. It's
Try
like,
roll
you
with
know,
it.
5D or whatever isn't a place that we're going to. It's a place that we are, I don't know, like awakening or bringing from us. And for me, like, it's all very well if we all awakened and transcended and all like disappeared into some, like, you know, seventh sun or whatever, then what would become of the earth, right?
Yeah.
So actually, I think our job is, we've decided on some levels to come down here as humans to experience the magical wonder that was 2020, because however you think of it, it was definitely wondrous, right?
Yeah.
So we decided to come down here and do this. If we wanted to just be the love and light brigade or whatever, we'd still be up there doing our instant manifestation, doing our full soul thing. But no, we've come down here in one of the really toughest times to make a change. It's like a Michael Jackson song, but to make a difference here and to anchor that light. You know, I see it that, and I see this a lot in spiritual communities, you know, that we are, like, say this is us, and I've got a crystal in, for those on the audio, I've just got a crystal between my two hands, and we're kind of hovering between the heaven, which is above us, and the earth that's below us. And I think that often when we're ascending, or when we awaken and we start on this spiritual journey, we're like, whoop, we go up here and we're, you know, trying to get all the downloads and receive all the wisdom and the healing and the information. And we're up here, but we're really wobbly, because when then the bill comes, or somebody comes and tells us something that doesn't fit in with our spiritual ideal, we come whack down to earth, and then suddenly this connection with the heavens breaks or is severed, or, you know, it feels it's a long way to drop. Whereas maybe before we start our awakening, we're down here connected to the earth with no connection up here. And I think our job is to become that rooted aspect. So we are as rooted to the heavens as we are to the earth, and that we are walking and talking and being and acting and all of that here, but through the spiritual guidance that's available to us.
What a beautiful way to put that. I knew I was going to be like this in this episode. I was just going to, like, it's similar for people listening who have listened to Bodini's episode. We spoke about yoga. You know Bodini, or you're good friends with Bodini?
I know Bodini. We are running a retreat together in the winter.
Awesome. I will be doing all I can to get to that retreat. But
We'd
yeah, for people listening in, like, when I like try and get people on board, do you know what? I don't actually try to get anyone on this podcast. It just happens. Like, I just found Bodini somehow, and then from Bodini, you've come along, and it's like, oh, it's just awesome. I love it. That's a beautiful way to put. You know, I can feel that within myself. That I've had those big jump right up into, like, oh, I'm actually even here, and like you feel the high for ages. But then, like you said, when a earth thing happens, it then really hits you hard, and it's, yeah, trying to bring those two things together. Thank you for that. That's actually something that's gone into me there. So cool. That's straight in with some stuff there. Can you, just to bring it back to sort of what you do, and bringing it back to, like, intuitive guidance and healing, like, for you, how would you define that for people listening in? Intuitive guidance, and here, obviously healing's a lot easier. People know what healing is, but intuitive guidance, what do you mean by that?
So when I first started doing readings, I was very much trying to find my niche and what to call myself, because I wasn't comfortable with the term psychic. I wasn't comfortable with the mediumship, because for me, there's a whole load of connotations around this, that a psychic is somebody who predicts the future, who pulls the card and go, well, this is what's going to happen to you, and this is where you're going. And a medium is somebody that takes a soul that has passed and brings them through and gives you messages of love and hope and proof of life after life, right? So they're the terms that really, what I do, people know and identify with. But what I do when I'm working with somebody, it's about, I've got a person in front of me who has a whole load of choices. And for me, the future isn't set in stone. The future is based on the past, on the things that we've believed, on the things that we've brought with us, on the things that we've done, on the choices that we've made. And that leads us to our present, which obviously then leads us to somewhere in the future. But for me, that future is always malleable, right? We can change it. It's never set in stone. There is always a way, wherever you are, to pivot or to move that future possibility, that timeline that's available to us. So when I was like, well, what do I call myself? Because I hate that idea of, well, I hate it, but it gets me, that idea of, well, there's your future, go live it. And actually what I do is I'm guiding, I'm helping you understand, well, these were the choices that you made. So this is your likely future timeline. But actually your alignment, your gifts, your patterning, your passions, your energy is all gives you a potential of moving here. So connecting to your guides and your spirit team, your angels, your energy, your Akashic Records, all of this stuff, I'm helping you understand, first of all, your potential, and then second of all, how you can get there.
Awesome. Yeah, that's great. I love all of that. It's cool as well. It's cool. It's interesting you said then about, because I've always had, not always had that view, but I know what you mean about with psychics and mediums. They like telling you your future. It's like putting something. It's a form of programming that is the kind of stuff we're trying to get away from. We've got enough programming in this earth plane. I guess like you said, you're just like showing that person their ability to influence the timeline that they end up creating.
Yeah.
Because we're infinite possibility in the present eternal moment, aren't we? So whatever choices we end up making and thoughts and patterns and everything will ultimately determine what timeline plays out.
Which, we have our life, and you can see, like, you might have a friend, right, who always does that thing, right? They always do that thing. So if they're put in a position that they're probably going to do that thing again, because that's their patterning, their conditioning, their beliefs, their limiting beliefs, whatever, right? This is all the stuff that's leading them there. So where the healing comes in is sometimes that root of that belief that, well, I can't do this, or I'm not good enough for this, or I don't have the power for this, or, this is the only way I can see things. If we can bring healing to that space, whether that is in the now, in the past, in the past life, or whatever, we can change the weighting of where we are now. And then when we change our now, our present, that's all we have, and the way that we think, the way our energy moves, the way we show up, the way we believe in ourselves, then the future has to change. It has to be. There's no other way. And of course, we always have free choice and we always have free will, but I see it time and time again. We change what happened back there. We bring healing to that, heavy energy, that power loss, that blockage, whatever's showing up. And then suddenly it opens doors to what's possible for us.
So with what you're saying there, the more healing someone has to do, the less ability they potentially have to determine and choose the pathway of this moment. Because if they've got lots and lots of stuff that they haven't worked through, they're then more likely to do the same things over and over again, and Is that what you're like, clearing that energy then?
Yeah, I think so. I think it's never that easy, right? But I think that we always have it in our now moment, in our present moment. It's always in our potential to create something new. Our thoughts are magnetic, right? Our thoughts are powerful. Our thoughts create our things. Like, we hear this all the time, the law of attraction or manifestation, our thought creates our things. So why isn't it that I can think of whatever and then it appears? Because there's something else that's sitting behind that. So yes, I can think it and think, well, I want to get the job or whatever. But if my energy that sits behind this is showing me lack, is showing me unworthiness, is showing me, the world owes me a buck, all these kind of, limiting self-beliefs, then it doesn't matter how many times I think it, the energy is not congruent with what my thought or what that affirmation I am saying. So I'm not saying you need to be fully healed in order to create the future that you are destined to have, because that's too black and white, because part of our journey is bringing that healing along with us. But knowing that we have the option, the possibility, the potential to be able to bring healing to something that happened to us, so it no longer weighs heavy. Like, we started this conversation talking about vibration, right? It's all vibration. I don't know if that was on the recording, but that's where we started. It's all this is all vibration, and my vibration can be like my ego vibration, or my thought, what I'm thinking, love, light, all this stuff can be as high as I want it. But if my actual physical energy is not flowing and is not with that free movement, that has a blockage or a heaviness to it, that is going to influence me more than what I am consciously trying to change. If that makes sense.
Yeah, it completely resonates with me for sure. It's like the stuff you're talking about is almost beyond words in a sense, isn't it? It's a feeling and a knowing within our being. Like, if, I don't know, I've not felt good before, you might have a feeling in your gut for quite a few days, and it doesn't matter how much I go, oh yeah, I feel good, but that's not going to that's not got the same power. That's what you're saying. Then compared to that true, deep, higher self, or whatever thing we want to call it, the soul underneath. Yeah. It's awesome. You explain that beautifully, a lot of that.
You know what? You talk about the gut feeling there. I'm gonna throw this one in there because I think it's something that's little spoken about, but it's quite potent. So we started this conversation with talking about programming and where it comes from, and we've got our societal pressures and our past life stuff and our parent stuff and all of this stuff, which gives us our map of the world, if you like. And then here we are with our gut feeling. And everyone says to you, when you start on this spiritual path, go with your gut feeling, right? But our gut is very physical. Our gut is quite kind of 3D, yeah? And actually what our gut is doing is it is searching and scanning for fear, or searching and scanning for danger. It's going, oh, am I safe doing this? That's the thing that stops you when you're about to cross the road and you're like, and something pulls you back. That's your gut saying to you no. Now, what can happen if we are powerless, because our solar plexus is our power center? If that isn't healed, if that is kind of in this state of disempowerment, then what we're doing through our life, maybe before our awakening, during our awakening, is we are sucking in all of this fear potential. So this can be that I better not speak my truth because I'll get rejected by my friends in the playground. Or I better not speak out past life stuff because I'll be, incarcerated for being the witch or whatever. And this energy all sits there in our gut. And if we are only going with our gut feeling, then sometimes that can be skewed by the societal programming, by the you need to know your place. You think that we spoke about, kids at school. Don't speak out or you'll miss your break time. That's what my son said to me. Oh, well, if I talk at school, I miss my break time. And it's like, and that sits there in his gut. And until he does something with that, when he's older and he wants to speak out, that remembrance will be there because that's kept him safe as a child. So we have this other thing called intuition, which comes in from another place. It's more of a whisper, but the intuition is never going to say to you, don't do that. The intuition is going to be like, why don't you try that? Why don't you go with this? And if there's a decision you're going to make which maybe isn't wise, it might give you another alternative, or like it's a different. For me, the intuition is more of a pull, and the gut instincts, while you don't dismiss it, is understanding that sometimes healing needs to come around it, so that we are. So it's our power center, not our fear center.
Amazing. I've got nothing to say back to a lot of what you're saying today. It's good because I'm just absorbing it, and I'm just sitting there and being and listening to everything you're saying. That's wonderful. I'm sure people listening would because I'm not, yeah, because again, like you said, that's interesting. Everyone does say follow your gut, and like you said, your gut could be stopping you from actually allowing the highest version of yourself to come through. I've got a question. This isn't even on my list, but I've just got a question myself. I feel like, personally, this is when over the last year and a half, I've slowly, like, my consciousness and my awareness has returned. Like from here, it's just come down, and like I feel like I sit here in my heart a lot. A big thing happened to me a while back. Big epiphany moment happened. But this center, then, that's another energy place that obviously we can listen to. Yeah, different to the gut, different to the mind. That's just with love, or that's like, how would you explain that? How do you personally think about that one?
This is very interesting. We're going to go down a rabbit hole. This is quite deep. This was the guidance that came to me. So you know how we've been talking, there's been a lot about 3D, 4D, 5D, all these dimensions that are going on. And I said, it's not somewhere we are going to, it's something that we're awakening within us. So there is a school of thought that these dimensions are actually based on our chakras, on our physical chakras, our 7 physical chakras. And up until the age of Aquarius, which was, where we've just come into, we've been sitting in our 3rd chakra, which is our solar plexus. And you can see this in society, right? That we've been working from that. It's been about power. It's been about control. It's been about, the capitalism. It's, all this stuff, which is fine. If it's healed, it's great, right? But then as we then move into 4D, into our 4th chakra, we come from the heart, which is about love, which the 4th chakra is our middle chakra. This is about balance. This is the word in Sanskrit means unstruck. This is a place that cannot be broken. This is very much a place of truth. And so we're coming into this age, which is about moving from our solar plexus. So bringing that healing, that power struggle, that inner strength up into our heart, so that we're not just like wishy-washy. We're not just like, we're actually bringing a power up into it. So this is like the 4th dimension. But then that brings us up to 5, because this is where everyone's like, I'm moving into the 5th dimension. So what's that? It's about speaking our truth. But not just gabbing at it from our head, from our ego, from our societal programming in whatever way that comes in, but through those other chakras, from the root, which is about safety, security, our place here, and all the way up, so that we speak our truth, so that we have conversations like this. So we're having conversations that aren't about right or wrong, but are about expression and sharing that love and sharing that power and, mutual beneficial aspects.
We're moving into it. It's an incredible time to be here, isn't it? It really is. It's absolutely magical.
So I think that the heart space is a brilliant space to be in, and this is where we are being called, I think, as a society, from the 21st of December, and they said when the stars aligned, we had that solstice last year, and then in February, like Aquarius was like everywhere, like all the planets were, not all of them, 5 of them I think were in Aquarius, and it was calling us to come into our heart space. And now what we do with that is we move it up and we speak our truth, and we come and we stand our ground, not in that ego way, not in that solar plexus, if I'm right, you're wrong, but from that heart space, which is like we are one, unity, balance, as without, so within, all that wonderful stuff.
It's beautiful. For people listening in, I just had a little reflection within myself, and it's like when you fully go to that heart space, the difference with I would see it anyway myself, between my ego, how I used to be, how I used to put things out there differently, and how I wanted people to like it, and I wanted people to say it was right, is when I now, over the last 6 months, I don't, the external judgment of it is irrelevant. Absolutely. Because if in here, you know that you're speaking your truth, because we can leave this when at any moment, we don't know where it's going to go. But if you knowing that you spoke your truth is the most, I know already, I'm getting tingles now, just even talking that to you. But it's just the most beautiful thing to ever know. And that's all I want anyway for myself. And I'm sure people listening in, if they don't, you know, I tell you, it's aligning with that heart space is so beautiful. I don't need anything now. I feel so, there's not much I need, you know, a bit of food to keep me going, some water, some nice times. But when you sit there, you're really in your soul's truth, maybe your soul's, your what this expression is meant to be while we're here, I'm guessing.
Well, I think you just saying that, I'm thinking about, you know, the law of attraction. So you've got books like The Secret, which a lot of people have read, and, you know, for me, it opened my eyes certainly to a lot of things. But for me, something like The Secret was very much based on that solar plexus. You can have whatever you like, as long as you think about it and you truly believe it, which will get you so far. I have manifested some awesome things, right? However, when you bring it up into the heart space, which is the star of creation, the six-pointed star, or the Merkaba, which is about above and below, which is about connecting to all that you were and all that you are and all that you can be, then you're aligning in with my true place in the earth. What do I truly need? Do I need the Ferrari? Or do I need the, I don't know, the sustenance, the connections, you know, like for me, money's not a bad thing to have and want to have, but it's about what I'm doing with that and how I'm, you know, using that energy. It's all energy. So things change when you move from solar plexus into heart space. And that all comes from healing, understanding that your ego, it's not bad. Your ego is just trying to keep you safe. That's all it's trying to do. And bless it, it is subject to all the movies we've watched, the news we've heard, our parents' belief, their parents' belief, and, you know, 7 generations or more. What our friends did in the playground, what we watched on EastEnders, like all of these things, which we may not be involved in anymore. Like, I haven't watched a movie about it, sometimes watching with the kids, but I don't really watch TV, I don't really watch the movies, because when I look at it, it's all influencing me, saying that I need to look this way, be this way, want this stuff, have this stuff. And if I'm trying to tune in, and my gut's going, oh, what you need is the Ferrari, and then you'll be accepted in life, which is a programming. When actually the heart space goes, you know, you're accepted as you are, just be who you are.
There's so many points I want to delve into that. I'm gonna tap in with the whole, that book called The Secret as well, because it's interesting, because that was one of the first books I read, but that was about 8, maybe 10 years ago now. And I can now see, like, for me, when you first maybe come into that spirituality, and actually people around me now who are slowly coming, and I can see their awakening, initial awakening, whatever word you want to use. Even that word's been sort of tainted, not tainted, but you know what I mean? It's like, we're awakening. But I see people coming, and they're at the start of their awakening journey, and it's all at the start very much like, oh, the universe is wonderful, and this thing happened, and this synchronicity, and I'm going to make this happen, and I get all that, and that's lovely to play with at the beginning, and it is, and I guess I resonate with what you said with me, but there then becomes a place when you really do want for nothing. And I always say, I try to be like an empty bamboo shoot, and then may the universe flow through me the highest vibration that it wants to manifest through me. That's it.
Yeah.
Nothing more than that, nothing less. And then I'll be that vessel for it to happen, you know. And it's, yeah, that's kind of where I've got to. It's lush we came to that point in this talk. I've got so much to ask you. Can we go on to Akashic Records, just because this is, again, it's an interesting synchronicity, especially you said Aquarius. For people listening in, a couple of days back, I've barely read any books for the last 2 years because I haven't needed to. It's all just, I've done all this inner stuff and I didn't need to put anything external in. But in the last week or so, I've basically picked up a book by someone called Levi, and it's basically Jesus the Christ, as told from the Akashic Records. People listening, you might not know what that is, but anyway, it's just interesting. And then I knew I was podcasting Melissa, and then on her thing, it's like, oh, she knows about Akashic Records, and it's just a funny little synchronicity that's come up. So for people listening, can you explain what the Akashic Records mean?
Yeah, so the Akashic Records are this like field of space that holds all of our thoughts, desires, wishes, actions, like everything that's been going on in our minds, in our worlds. It's all held in like this energetic library, so to speak. And we all have one, whether you are spiritual or not. We all have a record. But it's not just that there are, you know, all these different libraries filing. There's an earth, a cache, there's a field that this all sits in. And actually, we speak about, you know, we are one and all of this stuff, that each record has a potential influence on the others. So yeah, it's an energetic superhighway of information that literally logs everything that we've done, not as a soul. So through this life and through all lives once lived.
Awesome. So is it purely logging our soul? It logs everything, the ego for any no separation from all of it. It's just everything that anything that vibrates, it will log that as an imprint on an individual's Akashic record, and there's overall a collective one as well.
Yeah.
Cool. I watched Avatar, and the Tree of Life, Enya, is sort of when that happened, I saw that as the Akashic Records in a way. They're kind of trying to show that, maybe. Yeah,
maybe. I love that film.
How good is it?
Oh, it's so good. I like watching that. It's so deep. My husband's like, more.
What's going on? It's just a load of army people against these weird.
Yeah. I think so. And I quite like that analogy, because like when he, you know, takes his hair, doesn't he, and he attaches it on, and it's like that. We can open those books, we can open those records. However, it's not so simple as like, I can't just go, right, I'm going to pop into your records because I'm interested in what you've been up to, because they're held by I guess like a team of like gatekeepers, guardians, teachers, who allow you in or open the door if you have the right resonance and right intention to go in there. Because you can imagine, because it holds everything, it's a very sacred space, and there's a lot of insight and healing and information that can be gained from it. And how I experience it is, when I go in, it's not just a case of, oh, I'm reading a book or I'm watching a movie. It's like you're kind of in the energy. So as you are communicating with it, or as you're playing with the energy, as you're watching it, as you're experiencing it, there's an influence there. Because once you know that you have been a certain way, or once you know that a certain action has led to a certain belief or way of showing up, things can't be the same as they were before you knew it. Mm-hmm. So there's definitely an interaction there. So I wouldn't be able to go into your records and go, oh, let's just see what he's been up to and what his beliefs are. because your gatekeepers wouldn't let me. However, if you were like, okay, I want to understand why this keeps showing up for me and I'm ready to move through it. Or, you know, when was I suppressed for something? I feel like I want to speak out, but then my computer keeps going down and things don't happen and the internet goes and all of this. Like, why does this keep happening to me? We can go back and have a look and see if there was an incident or incidents that are playing into your belief systems now. And then we can bring some healing or understanding or, negotiation in there.
That's awesome. Do you believe that every single person has the ability to go into their own Akashic records, and you've just unlocked this ability to do that? Or are certain people, say like yourself here, to do that for people that want to see?
I think that everybody has the potential to go in there, but the vibration needs to be right. So here's the thing, right? If I'm going to go into, if I'm like complete, and I am not saying, hey, you have to be healed, whole, vibrationally, whatever, to go in there, because for me now, in these last maybe 10 years, 5 years, the door has been more easily accessible. I think before that, we weren't, as a consciousness, we weren't vibrating high enough. We weren't at where we are now, right? However, as an individual to go in there, if I am unhealed, if I am judgmental, if I'm sitting in my ego and thinking, oh, well, if I find out that he was XYZ, then I'm going to damn him and judge him and whatever, then I'm not going to get shown that information. So the more accepting, maybe, the more non-judgmental, the higher my intentions are, the more likely you'll be able to open the door. So could you go into your records because you're like, well, I want to be, the CEO of this company because I want to have a harem of women bowing at my feet and have all the money in the world. So I'm going to open my records and find out the best way to do that. Probably you're not going to get the same information or the same depth of information as somebody who's going in there saying, I want to help raise the consciousness of the planet, or I want to, help the orphans, like whatever, like something that's bigger than you, something that is part of your soul's desires and something that's going to help raise the vibration of humanity. If you are there and you are genuinely there, I think that when you go in with that clear intention, leaving your ego to the side, you'll be allowed entry.
Awesome. Love that. It's really interesting because I've with where I'm at in my personal being, I've got a very beautiful, definitive knowing in my heart of what I'm doing as such. But it's really interesting because I guess it's like, so I've met a lot of people, okay, like for example, I've never done mushrooms or I've never done DMT. I haven't gone into I don't know how to go into my Akashic records, etc. But I also, this space isn't telling me I need to do that yet. Yeah. Does that make sense? So absolutely. I think a lot of people I've met are like, you're like this kind of guy. You seem very bright. You should do this. You should do that. Oh, yeah. You might be interested in going and seeing this person. They can tell you about what you were before, etc. But in my deep knowing, it's not telling me I need to know any of that yet. So that's why I've always personally, at least, not done that yet. Does that make sense? But I think maybe some people, maybe not like yourself, but they go to other psychics or mediums because they want, I want to know if I'm going to have a baby or am I going to meet the right partner, like sort of more 3D things that they want. Whereas, do you know what I mean with that?
Yeah. And the 3D things are fine, right?
Yeah.
You want to have the partner, you want to have the baby, you want to get the job, like whatever. And that's fine. But for me, it's about aligning with your truth. Because you can be fighting to get that job or to have that husband, or to, you know, whatever, because this is what society is telling you that you need to do. But if you have got something, for example, in your records where you died at childbirth, or your child got taken away from you, which, or, you know, or like these horrific things that happen to us, like through the ages, and arguably, as you know, are still happening now, some of these things. If they're sitting there in your record and you've got this genuine fear, your body's not going to play ball with it, because your body's going to go, oh, don't know, last time you had a baby, do you remember you died, or that trauma that you went through? So your body's almost protecting you from doing that. So you come in with this higher level, and maybe if the time is right and your intentions are right and you're in that, you know, space of openness, you can heal that trauma that happened. You can bring that into understanding, either so you understand, well, maybe this isn't my path this time. Maybe my path this time isn't to have the baby. Maybe my path this time is to devote it to my parents, or to devote it, you know, my life to something else. And so understanding that brings that level of understanding, or understanding that and healing that clears the way or releases the blockage to what has stopped, you know, what has caused the infertility or the, you know, lack of relationship or whatever. So if someone came to me and said, I want to have a baby, can you fix it? Like that's a big question. And can you fix it? Something will happen, but it might not be what you thought it would be.
And I guess people that come with that intent, they've got to be open to knowing that it ain't gonna, they have to let go of their mind's idea of what may come of it. I guess, because it might not be what they want, but what they want isn't necessarily what they need either, I guess. And I think, you know, society, beautiful society, it tells us what we need. And, you know, we watch the Disney films from when we're 0, and they tell us this is how life is, and this is how life should be, and this is what you should be dreaming of. And then, you know, we watch, there's a lot in TV, there's a lot in the media, there's a lot in just our schooling and our history and all of this stuff, which is just influencing us. And I'm not going in that debate about who, why, what, and whether that's right or wrong, but that is what we're dealing with. So you asked me, does the Akashic Records hold everything? Yes, because sometimes it's that human stuff, it's that, you know, the ego stuff, which is actually what is causing the block or the diversion from the actual essence that's sitting in there, that's just waiting to come out and be unleashed or unlocked. And it's not about removing that necessarily. It's about, you know, bringing that into the light, or bringing that into the soul, so that we can move through it and help others with it. It's fascinating stuff. It's really cool. I'm like epiphanies come through. It's so funny. That's cool. I love all that. It was interesting. This is completely going back to something else, but it just popped into my head then. I love what you said earlier. I just want to bring this back up because I think it may help people, because it's just helped me actually, where you said, bless our ego for everything it has to go through. Because you know what? So much stuff that I like, you know, if you look into, say, Stoicism, all right, I quite like some of the Stoic stuff, like you can leave life right now, and like the Marcus Aurelius stuff, where it's about reminding yourself to be in the present moment. Equally, it's a lot of this like death of the ego, you know, what's it called, the you know, don't listen, you know, do you know what I mean? It's quite derogatory towards our ego. And I think that's almost then keeping you on that same plane of consciousness, whereas we should be, because it just clicked in my head that actually, yeah, whenever my ego comes in, I shouldn't be like, oh, look at that ego, or blah, blah. It should be love for it, because it's in this plane, it's so heavily attacked. And like you said, at its root, it just wants to keep this little body alive, right, and safe. But it's been absolutely incredible, that epiphany you've given me actually with that. But I think people listening in, I think a lot of people on that spiritual path to start with, it's all like ego's bad, and then you're just on the same plane. You know, thinking your ego less is just the same as thinking you've got having a big ego, right?
You know, ego for me, it's a funny thing, isn't it? And I think that the more you kind of befriend it, And, you know, you said something at the beginning about, you know, I'm more than my body, I'm more than my mind, I'm more than my thoughts, right? When we are meditating, what are we doing? We're not trying to kill our thoughts or still our thoughts or, you know, have no thought. I've never got there, right? But we are separating from our thoughts. We are understanding that our thoughts are not our reality. Our thoughts are not our everything. So we sit there and we become the witness to that. So when we look at our ego as a, you know, this lost child, or this, which is for me what she is, you know, she's just trying to keep me safe. She's programmed to the nines about everything and the way that the world should work. And she's just trying to keep me safe, which is often trying to keep me small and trying to keep me in with what, you know, society tells me is right. Okay, so that's it. That's all she's trying to do. And I said to you at the beginning about, for me, it's about coming into the truth of who we are. That ego head is not the truth of who I am. That is just a part of me, but it's still a part of me. So by doing my meditation practice, by you know, practicing Reiki, by doing, you know, all these amazing, reading the books and having these conversations and all these amazing things that we can do, we are separating from it, but not to that space of I'm losing it. It's just like, it's like, I'm going back to kids. If a kid starts moaning at you, the worst thing you can do is go, oh, shut up, and then try and ignore it. Then what will they do? They'll just get louder and louder and louder and louder. If we go, okay, let me hear your thought, and they say, can we have 10 sweeties for dinner? Right? And you go, well, that's probably not the best idea. Then they calm down on them. Right, so it's a case of acknowledging it and going, okay, I see what you're doing. Wouldn't that be lovely if we could, you know, stay small, stay safe, stay in my comfort zone? That would be lovely, and eat sweets all day. But actually, there's a bigger issue here. There's a bigger picture here for me to move into. So I'm not, I don't know, for me, it's definitely not about losing it. It's about healing it. It's reassuring it. It's bringing it in, recognizing we have it, because I don't know many people who are truly ego-less. And, you know, for some, maybe that's their path to transcend what their ego is. But for me and where I am, and from a lot of the clients I work with, it's about taming the ego. Is that a good way to put it? Bring it along for the ride.
Love that. I was just thinking, I'll use my own experience just because it's the easiest thing to do, I guess. But like, I look at it so that in my early 20s, a lot more of my awareness, or who I thought I was, say 90% I was in my ego. I thought I was that thing, and there was always like a little deep thing going. I was like, oh, I wonder what that is. I think there's something that's gonna come up at some point. I think maybe that's something I need to be thinking about, you know. And I guess now maybe I'm my awareness is in my truer self, higher self, witness, watching place, 75%, whatever, and then less in the ego. So I guess that for me, where you said then about bring it along for the ride, but a lot of people. So where am I going with this? To help other people, obviously. Basically, for people listening that don't, because we understand when we're ego, when we're the watcher. Like I can move from those places. Like I'm assuming you can. Maybe sometimes not. It might just happen, and then we look at it after. But some people don't know. When I try to explain it to people, they're like, "What do you mean we're not our mind? We're not this." Do you know what I mean? So it's trying to help people. How do they become the watcher more? You know, I've tried to help people with that, who are just in the ego, thinking that's who they are, and all their attention is in it.
You know, it's really just listening to your thoughts and understanding that there is somebody else listening. I think it was in The Power of Now, Eckhart Tolle's very famous book, which is an awesome book for anyone starting on this path. You know, if you've not, it's only a small book, and it hones in this message that we are the watchers of our thoughts. And so when we sit in meditation, so when we sit there and we're like, right, I'm just going to sit with my breath, and then the thoughts come in, it's not about attaching on to that. It's about going, okay, I see that, and then it passes, and then the next thought comes up, and then you pass it. So who is watching that thought? Who is hearing that voice? Like for me, my thoughts are a voice. Apparently, not everyone is like that, but for me, you know, that's, I hear my voice going, rah, 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 do this, blah blah blah. Did you thought about this? Rah, 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 and it goes there. But somebody's listening to that, and that somebody is me. When I can detach from that and just go, okay, well, that was interesting. Yeah, rather than, oh, well, I better do it because my thoughts told me that I have to. Or, you know, the thoughts say, oh, this is really scary, don't do that. And then it affects my physiology. And then I get really caught up in the moment. If I'm watching my thoughts or listening to my thoughts and going, okay, I hear you, then I'm creating that break between what thoughts are going through my head and then the feelings that then attach onto it. So I think a good start is just to assume that every thought that comes in, every time we hear, you know, this bright idea or, you know, this narrative that's going on, just ask, like, is this, assume it's your ego, because 90 whatever percent, I don't know the percentage, a big amount of it is. And then you'll notice that there's patterns, you'll notice that there's certain things that keep on coming up again and again and again. And then this is where the healing comes in. Okay, is that true? Is that true that this has to be the way? Is that true that you know, things always go wrong for me? Or, you know, whatever, you hear this all the time. And just asking yourself, is that true? And then noticing what comes up. So it's almost, you can give it a name. When you hear that voice, give it, like, call it something, give it a name, detach it from who you are and who's listening to it. And it's a process. Does it happen overnight? No. But you said, oh, I can move between ego and higher self or true self. Like, sure, like ego comes in all the time because, you know, for 30 whatever years, she was running the show. So it's not going to go down lightly. And I'm bringing her along. She's still there. She's like, you know, co-pilot, but she's not the pilot.
Yeah, that's amazing as well. Yeah, before it was a lot more, the pilot was the ego, and then well, the watcher wasn't even the co-pilot. I don't know where the watcher was. It's some little tiny thing. And then
economy class out the back.
Yeah, yeah. And now, yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, the ego is more just the co-pilot. It's like, well, I could listen to you if I want to. Maybe I will in this moment, or I don't. But also, I don't have to. You're not ruled by it as much, I guess. You're not a slave to it, and it's a lovely place to get to when you're in that. And you know, even now, like, sometimes it overwhelms, and then you feel like, oh God, and you know, like you said, after 30 years, it's not just gonna go away and say, no, hold on, you fucking listen to me. You've been listening to me for the last however long. Why are you listening now? Listen. You know, they get quite strong sometimes, but
so you listen, but you don't take its advice. Sometimes it comes up with some right gems, but you know, but then it's about then inviting in the higher self, because this is that part of us that we often don't listen to. And this is where a spiritual practice comes in. And it is a practice. You've got to keep on sitting on the mat, right? You've just got to keep on doing it. For me, I found the easiest way was using like angel cards, because they are, look at that, the bottom card is about co-creation, right? So for me, this was a way to quieten all that down, to go, okay, thank you for reminding me what I need to know today, putting a card and just kind of sitting with that and taking that other guidance, which could often be very much at odds with my ego, which is telling me, no, you're not good enough, no, you don't have the power, no, you don't have the strength. And when this one's saying to me, you know, just try it, go for it, see what happens. So, you know, it's almost, you know, giving the mic to that other part of us, which as we practice and invite it in more and understand that it's there, becomes more of that guiding tool. And the higher self has our evolution at heart. Our higher self knows all of those people that we were, all of those decisions we made, and knows our way out of it, knows what talents and strengths and abilities we have to get us to this evolution of where we're going. So the more she or he comes in and we use them as the guidance, as the, you know, sign giver, then we become more into our truth and our authenticity.
Awesome. Love it. I've literally loved it. I've been listening so much. You've put some absolutely amazing information out there. I haven't even got like halfway through. How long can you keep going? A bit longer, or?
Yeah.
You sure?
Yeah, I put a note out.
All right, that's good news. I should
just put this live on my page and just go, there we go, here's tonight's episode.
We'll just carry on. There's
Yeah.
so much. No, it's amazing. It's so lovely, and it's like having these conversations on here for people listening in. We're all healing each other right now. You're literally healing me with things you're saying, and it's what, you know. None of us like know it all. None of us know we know hardly anything really in the grand scheme, right? We know like the tiniest amount. And when you really humble yourself, and this is why I love doing this podcast with people like yourself, because it's just I unlearn and I learn and I just open up so many more doors within myself. And I know that people listening in, that's why they come to this podcast, because it's just free flow and there's no, you know, agenda. I said before we started this, I always have like a little skeleton of questions, but it's gone anywhere. It's gone everywhere and anywhere anyway, hasn't it? So it's the, yeah. All right. If you've got a bit more time, that'd be awesome. I wanted to go on to. I mean, I could have carried on with that topic for a long time. I would like to talk about crystals a little bit, because I've not spoke to anyone about these on my podcast before, and the role of crystals in healing. Maybe a little bit about what the actual makeup of a crystal is. Like, I've looked into this a little bit, but I'd like to hear how you view a crystal as it is in this world, and all the different types and what they do. And yeah, if we can talk about that, that'd be great.
Yeah. Okay, so I have had a love of crystal, as she says, as she's been holding this little rock in her hands through the podcast today. I have been working with crystals for a long time. I didn't always have an understanding of them, but what I did know is that they made me feel different. They made me feel safe, or they gave me a crutch or an anchor, right? So without going into all the science of it, which is very interesting, but it's not my, you know, I'm interested in far bigger things than that. But
yeah,
the crystals are basically vibrational resonances that are formed in the ground. There's many different ones. So this is a rose quartz, which is a type of quartz. So like amethyst, citrine, rose quartz, smoky quartz, Lemurian quartz. They're all type of quartz, which all have the same like molecular makeup. So they all vibrate at the same level. The difference is their color, their hue, which is based on, you know, the amount of different minerals that maybe make them up. Okay. And there's plenty of different ones depending on where they are created. You know, if they're high up in the Earth's atmosphere or the Earth layer, then they are generally softer. The deeper into the earth, so like a diamond, is very hard. So they say the diamond's like the hardest substance, right? You can cut through anything with a diamond. And that's based on the amount of pressure that creates this beautiful rock, which is what they are, right? So why is that nice for us? So why do all crystals look and feel different? Is because they hold a different vibration. And there's so many different crystals out there, from, you know, even I just listed off, you know, 6 different types of quartz, and then you've got, you know, the fluorites and the beryls and, you know, the tanzanite or something, which I love, or the diamonds, or oh my gosh, there's so many, right? And each one of them holds a different resonance. Now, when I'm working with crystals, I'm very much working with them from that kind of shamanic or the animism viewpoint, which that every object holds a spirit. Okay, so on the one hand, the science part of it is that they all have a vibration. And as we started this podcast, we all have a vibration. So why does a crystal make me feel better? Because its vibration, when it's in my presence and I'm emitting a vibration all the time, when I'm bringing this to me for healing, it is settling or like we have these like kind of random vibrations coming out, right? They're all going nuts. A quartz is very constant. We have them in our watches. Why do we have them in our watches? Because they keep the time, right? They're not oscillating from this frequency to this frequency. They're constant. So when I bring this in, it is bringing my energy into that vibration. So all it takes is that I find that crystal that holds the vibration or the opposite vibration of a problem I have, or the vibration of the solution that I want.
Okay. Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you can hold them, you can wear them. So I have, you know, various crystals that I wear on my body for like protection, or for, you know, amplifying energy, or for calming down. And I'll wear different ones depending on what I'm doing. Yeah. You can also make like elixirs. It's a crystal water bottle. It's got different crystals in the middle. And what's happening there is my crystals are vibrating and changing the structure of the water so that when I drink it, I am drinking all the goodness of the crystals. So it's changing my vibration, right?
Yeah.
But on top of that, the animism side of things is about that everyone has a spirit. So when I'm working with this crystal, yes, even bringing it into my energy will change my energy. Wonderful. I can go a step further than that, as I can journey with this crystal, and I can meet the spirit of this crystal and understand then what messages it has for me, what healing it has for me, how it wants to work with me. And then I can work with the crystal, whether it's sitting with me or not.
Awesome. I loved all of that. It's incredible. It's very cool. I've actually, it's interesting, right? Because I've got two crystals here that I've been holding a little bit during it. I don't even know what they are. Okay, so it's interesting. While we're on here, I might as well do it while we're here. So I was in have you been to Glastonbury before?
Yeah.
Do you know Chalice Wells Garden?
Yeah.
Beautiful place, yeah, beautiful peace gardens. So do you know the healing pond?
Yeah.
So the other week I was there, and I was in the healing pond, just sat there peacefully, and then I got out to walk along a little bit towards the sort of waterfall thing that's coming down.
Yeah.
And then I just looked down, and right in front of me was this crystal, just randomly, and I picked it up, and I took it since then. But I don't know what exactly that one is. Can you see it on the camera?
Is it black?
It's black, yeah.
Is it like
black, smooth, maybe a little bit of white lines sort of through it a little bit? It's just so we're trying. By the way, if everyone listening, we're trying to sort of like look at it on the camera.
I wonder if that is a polished tourmaline. Because you say about the lines. I don't have a tourmaline here, but a tourmaline when it's rough has got like it's got like lines all the way through it. But when it's polished, that sort of disappears. But you can sometimes see a residue of it. Yeah,
it looks like that.
So yeah, tourmaline is great for grounding. It's also, you know, for me, the black crystals aren't just about grounding. When I've sat with black crystals and you journey with them, what's the black? It's the void, right? It can take you to the spaces of the unmanifest. So traditionally, we use them for protection and for grounding. Tourmaline, especially, you can create like grids, like around the home or around your body, and I will often use that if there's like a heavy energy going on. It's like I'm matching that. Make sure you clean it a lot.
Okay.
Because it absorbs, like black absorbs, the energy.
How would you go about cleaning the crystal then?
There's different ways depending how you work with it. You can like just use sound, you know, so clap or ding bells or something. You can some crystals you can run under water and just imagine. My favorite way is I just hold it in my hands and I just imagine that there's a light coming in, like from the space of unmanifest, from, you know, the light, that's coming in through my body, and I'm placing it in my hands and I'm asking that it's cleansed. And then you feel it. You feel like a kind of something, pressure, tingle.
Yeah, it feels nice.
Yeah. And just ask that it's cleansed. You know, you can work with angels, you can just, you know, there's plenty of ways. And then, yeah, you can place it on your body, journey with it.
It's awesome.
All sorts of wonderful things.
I love it. I love it so much. What I'm going to do, like, I think we'll call it there. I like to keep these like no more than an hour ideally, because I think sometimes people might drift off, but I reckon we're probably going to have to do another one if you're keen, because there's so much more I want to ask. But that was beautiful. I've really enjoyed talking to you. I hope everyone else who's listened in, you know, whoever's meant to be listening, I hope you got whatever you're meant to get. That's what I always think with everything in this world. Whoever's meant to listen, I hope whatever was meant to resonate with you. There's so much more. I'm going to get Melissa back on for sure. Maybe we'll do a Facebook Live or something like that. We'll do, you know, other things in the future. Any sort of last words you want to just say or put out there?
You know what? I think that wherever you are in your spiritual journey, and, you know, whether you're brand new or you've been doing it for years and years and years, you know, stay curious. Know that you always have that ability to change. Things aren't set in stone, and that you are more than your body, more than your mind, more than your thoughts.
Perfect. Nothing much more to say in that, eh? Anyway, thank you so much. Thank you, guys. I hope you enjoyed the episode, and we'll be back with the next one. Take care.